Wallace Robotics is more than just a club. It's a way for people to get away and do things that they truly enjoy. And not only just do things that they enjoy, but help out the community at the same time. They do fundraisers to help raise money for the school and do different activities throughout the community. Now let's talk to Coach Jed Wanlin to see how Wallace Robotics started out as and what it is today.
Wallace's very first season was pretty interesting. I came in having already been a robotics coach for 6 years and told the principal that I'd like to start up another robotics program, and he was very enthusiastic. We secured funds for parts in October and started designing and building and programming that season. Unfortunately, we weren't able to compete because we couldn't get a robot together in time. The kids were still learning the parts, and we didn't have one built until April or May, and by that time, the end of the competition season was too late. But the following year, we were able to get up to speed faster. We had 4 different teams. We were able to get our robots together and were graciously allowed to compete in December. At that point, we actually most of the tournaments had filled up, so we had to scramble and ask permission to be allowed into tournaments. And I'd be remiss if I didn't thank one of the coaches from Jay County, Doug Tipton, who dropped out of a competition because his kids had competed and said that they needed some time off and allowed us to take his place at one of those competitions. So it was a pretty crazy season. The kids went from never having competed before to actually making it into the semifinals of a couple of pretty competitive tournaments.
Senior President Joe LeCount recalls his favorite memory of robotics from his 3 years in club.
My favorite memory of robotics is probably winning the Warsaw tournament. We were ranked on the 6th Alliance, and we ended up winning that tournament, and we qualified 2 other Wallasey teams for state during that tournament, so that was kind of cool.
Coaching in any club, sport, or activity is difficult, but with robotics, it's something special to Coach Jed Wanlin.
The hardest part about being a coach is coaching through defeat. Sometimes kids internalize things, sometimes kids externalize things, and it's getting them to reach inside themselves and, despite overwhelming odds, continue to move forward. One of the reasons why my greatest memory was last year and the sing-along of after winning the state championship was that the kids know how far they can dig in and what the odds are when they are stacked against themselves, and that they can accomplish anything they can think of if they dig deep enough. And the reward that they experience from overcoming those odds is truly remarkable. When you start with a new batch of kids, new students that come into club, they don't have experiences to draw on in robotics from slugging through defeat, from going to a competition with only half a robot built and still needing to make the best of it. They don't have experiences yet of being able to experience success and redetermining what success looks like when every single motor has blown on their robot and the cortex is fried. They don't have those experiences, so every defeat is the worst defeat they've ever experienced. And that's probably the toughest thing as a coach, to say, hey, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. This is what that light looks like, redefining what they define as success. It's not winning a trophy and taking home, a banner from a tournament. It is getting the robot working when you didn't think it could. It is learning something new. It is being a better person at the end of the day than they were at the start of the day. That's what victory is. That's what triumph is. And getting them to redefine that is probably the hardest part of coaching.
Being a part of robotics is more than just building a robot. It involves many difficult tasks, and it tests you in many different ways.
My role for my team, it started to be builder, and then I understood the principles of basic robotics. Then I started to understand programming was really important, so I'm learning how to program right now.
Robotics is just like any other activity. It takes some time to get the hang of it, and sometimes you need a little advice or a guiding hand.
My advice for a new kid starting out in robotics is persevere. Throw yourself into it. Never give up. You might go to a competition with a chassis and only a chassis. You could be on the winning alliance at the end of the day. The more work you put into it, the better you will do. There's this phrase of work smart, not harder. And that phrase, pardon my French, is bupkis. Yes, find the optimal solution, find the best way to work, and then work as hard as you can by going through that best way. It's the hard work that pays off, not just being the smartest kid in the room.
I'm Cory Dunivan, and this is Iron Pride Robotics.
1, 2, 3.